we are back on scene with another episode of the Dedication to Excellence podcast. I am your host, Eugene Taman-Post, on Instagram @_Eugenius, alongside my right-hand man and co-host, Dustin Reyna, @Dustin Reyna. What is good, my man?
Going great, man. I'm excited for another episode. Episode 3. We are moving along. Episode 4, man. Things are going.
5, maybe, depending on how you look
5?
at it.
Yeah, we're
knows?
just moving along, man. We're working our way up to 100 real quick. So
I was gonna say third time's a charm, but I don't know what to say about 4 and 5. I'll figure it out.
Well, this is the third time of episode 3, so the third time of the third time is like an exponential charm if you look at it that way.
Oh, dude, yes,
it's great. You're the first 5. So well, I mean, we're happy to have you on here, Ben. I know that you've got a lot of value to bring, and I'm excited to bring that out of you.
Perfect. Well, for those of you listening for the first time, the purpose of this podcast is not just inspire and motivate, but to give you real actionable steps and operational strategies from high achievers who have actually done the things we'll be discussing with them. Because once you're excited, folks, guess what? You actually got to go do some shit. So with respect to that, today's guest is an absolute beast when it comes to scaling and operations. I don't even know where to begin with this guy. For over a decade now, he's helped several food concepts grow into very big companies. We're talking in the billions with a B in sales volume. Some of them you may know, such as Five Guys and Halal Guys, and I'm sure some other guys out there. And currently himself owns 10 restaurants with more on the way. He's also built a virtual assistant company and has become a master of leveraging virtual assistants for automation purposes. Dustin and I are actually using his services right now, as are many of our colleagues. So definitely check that out if you would like to free up some of your time. He's a consultant, a sales coach. He recently launched Honey Badger Seller to help introverted salespeople become sales beasts. And I'm sure he's cooking up other projects that I don't even know about yet. So I could keep going on and on, but you get the point. But most importantly, he is just a down-to-earth, genuine, real good-hearted dude, a man of faith, a family man. Paul Tran, my brother, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. I hope to meet the hype, man. It sounds amazing what I'm hearing. So I hope I can live up to that. Thank you, man.
I have a sneaking suspicion you will, my brother. So there is just so much to you that I don't even really know where to begin. So how about we just kind of start at the beginning? Paul, please walk us through. What was your upbringing like?
Sure, man. So I was born in North Carolina. I moved here when I was 7, moved here to Southern California, and grew up just normal middle-class family. And one of the things I regret, I always make this joke that until I was 7, I was an Asian kid with this really cool Southern accent. And I wish I still kept it because like in college, all of these girls are like, man, if you still had that accent, that'd be so hot. So one of the things I regret leaving. But no, I've been here ever since Southern California. Grew up in a regular family. My parents they raised me Catholic, and so I was always surrounded by the church. And I grew up with an older brother who didn't pave any way for me. He was one of those goody two-shoes kids. He ended up becoming a doctor. He's a pharmacologist, and I also have a younger sister who, she's the only girl in the family, so she gets all the spoilage. And so I was the middle child with your typical middle child syndrome. Got into a lot of trouble. Got arrested. Did all the curiosity stuff. Which that probably is an episode on its own. But yeah, I mean, I've always just
please unpack a little bit of that because I did not know this side of you, Paul Tran.
Did you look at me one look and you're like, dude, this guy, he's been in jail. I could tell. Where's his tattoo? No, just back then, because I'm not going to blame my parents being in a poor family, but we just didn't have things, and I didn't want to like bother my family with things that I wanted. And so I worked hard for it, but I also I also shoplifted as well. I did all the bad stuff and was caught by the cops. And one thing was I was actually kicked out of Disneyland once.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if this is dedication to excellence is going the right direction, but
we'll start somewhere.
Yes.
Getting kicked out by Goofy isn't generally the first start point, but
yes. But I just want people to know that if I can get out of it, you can too, I guess.
So it was at an early age that Paul Tran learned the life of crime was not for him.
Yeah, that's right. But I've always been entrepreneurial, and I'd like to blame it on my middle child syndrome, where I think because my brother got all the attention and respect, and my sister got all the spoilage, I think I was always trying to act out, trying to get attention or try, it was beautiful because I didn't really have attention to lean on. So I that's actually where I came across just starting your own business. Was pretty much how the first book I got introduced to me was Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, and he just pretty much taught me the concept of, if everybody's advising you to go to school, get a regular education, get a regular job, and that's the path to success. Why is everybody so miserable? Why does everybody want to do something that they didn't even graduate with? And so many people are so lost. And so that's what got me thinking about like I need to be doing something completely different in order to have a better chance to have any type of success. So that's pretty much what set me on the path to doing entrepreneurship and sales and that kind of stuff. So
And how old were you when you had this personal revelation?
I was about 16. So right when I had the keys to my car. So
Great timing.
too much responsibility, too much freedom at that time. But yeah, I mean, I ended up just getting all sorts of different crazy jobs. Once I realized the life of crime was not for me, I ended up just getting a job. Worked at the mall. I worked at the hospital to get extra hours and extra money. I used to deliver blood, patients, and dead people. That's another story for another time. But I also did a lot of sales as well. That's where I fell in love with sales because I think in an effort to get attention, like when I was able to like convince people to buy something or convince people to take action of some sort, I kind of got a big high off of that. One of my most successful beginning sales was selling. Do you know Cutco?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's insane how people used to like old ladies would let me into their house and show them how to buy knives. It was beyond me, dude.
Had they known you got kicked out of Disneyland, maybe they would.
So yeah, sales allowed me to not have not a criminal record or not. I can still influence people. I can still help people. So that's what pretty much got me on the path to sales up to high school at least.
So you started off with Cutco. That was your first sales type position, and then how did the transition to more traditional entrepreneurship kind of evolve from there?
Yeah, to be honest, it's actually not necessarily entrepreneurship. It was actually sales. I don't know I guess what format it was. I could have sold when I worked for FranSmart, which is the largest franchise development company, which is where I sold like for Five Guys and Qdoba and all these other big brands. I was part of this investment company that needed salespeople. But going back to how I got started in entrepreneurship is um, I was going to school at Cal State Long Beach, and that was when. Have you guys heard of boiling crab?
Oh yeah.
Boiling crab. So at the time, around 2005, boiling crab was the only game in town. They were the only ones doing crawfish boils here in Southern California, and there were lines of people from like 2 to 3 hours every single day, no matter what. There's no such thing as downtime for these guys. And so for me, I was just like, oh my gosh, like dude, if I just built a restaurant just to serve people not willing to wait for 2 to 3 hours, I'm pretty sure I could make some money. And that was the whole concept of supply demand gap. Of course, I didn't use that sexy economic term, but I just knew that I'm sure there's a customer base here. So I just took a couple of high school, some friends I grew up with, and I said, hey, what do you think about like pooling some money together and just trying to build this restaurant? And one of my friends who is not a chef by trade, had no experience. He just loved to cook. He just had this amazing palate where he can like eat something and he just knows exactly what's in it. Me, I was just the sales guy trying to sell my friends on this idea. And one of my other friends, he just knew how to. He's just a really good detail oriented guy. He was going to be our operator. We just put together some money. We took over an old noodle restaurant that went out of business, and we did a lot of like R&D on cooking the crawfish. Create a recipe that was kind of enough to satisfy the boiling crab people, but make it slightly different. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much how we got started. We had no experience, very little
You
money.
created an original concept.
Yes, it was our own brand. It was called the Cajun Corner. It was in the Westminster area, so it was the second game in town. So because we were one of the first movers, we got that advantage. So if you know about crawfish, one of the stupid mistakes I did when I first opened was I didn't even know crawfish had a season. So every year Boiling Crab would close for 2 months, and I had no idea why. I thought they were just going on vacation, but we were about to open right when crawfish was out of season. So when I called my supplier and I said, "Hey, I'm ready to buy crawfish," they're like, "Are you stupid? Like the crawfish is out of season for the next 3 months." I'm like, "Holy shit! Like, how am I gonna?" So what we did was we just like, let's just serve clams and shrimp and other seafood instead. What actually, the stupid mistake actually ended up being the best thing ever, because while we originally wanted to just take advantage of the people waiting in 2-3 hours in line, because Boiling Crab was closed entirely, we got 100% of their customers that were craving the food and still wanted to have some kind of like that spicy kick. So we got all their customers. So we captured everything for those 3 months.
How do you teach somebody to recognize opportunity like that? Because I think it takes a, maybe not a trained mind, but it takes a special kind of person to say, hey, there's a need in the marketplace. Let me fill it. Let me take action on it. Like, what separates you and your mindset from the average person who just says, damn, I guess we don't have crawfish for 2 months?
Well, ignorance is one thing, right? You need to have complete ignorance, because I always tell people that just like Uber and just like I like to call myself like the same guy, same as the founders of Uber and Airbnb. Like those guys are like they didn't know didn't come from that business, and so they didn't know that these are obstacles. They didn't. If I knew that crawfish had a season, I probably wouldn't have done it.
Mm.
Like these guys just wanted to fill a need that they just wanted to scratch their own itch. Like the Uber guy, he just wanted to find a better way to get a cab, and the Airbnb guys, they just wanted to find a way to like capitalize on this empty space in their house. And so for me, we just wanted to scratch an itch. And so I think it just takes being aware. I think a lot of people are just on default reactive mode all the time, and they're just seeing there's so many opportunities that pass by you every single day. It's just you're so busy and you're so like distracted with your own like grind, is that they don't realize like, I wish I did it differently, or I wish this was done this way, or holy cow, like there's always people wanting this, or people are frustrated with this. Like, how can I fill that need? And I think most of the time they think that, like, no, I'm probably the only guy that feels like that I need to change that or do that. And so they discount the value of their idea. Does that answer your question?
No, totally. Which kind of my next question was going to be, okay, so you discover this and how old were you at the time?
I was 22.
22. Okay.
Yeah.
So 22, I'd imagine at this point, this is your first restaurant you're opening up.
Yeah.
So you've gone on now to not only open up that restaurant, but you've helped countless others open up their own restaurants. And I'm guessing some of them are probably doing it for the first time. What are
Yeah.
some best practices when it comes to opening up your own food establishment, especially if you have no experience doing it? Now that you know what mistakes not to make, so some tactical strategies in opening up a restaurant.
Yeah, great question, man. And I always love the tactical stuff. I think first, when I do consulting for these restaurant chains, I usually tell them, do people care what you have? Do people care what you're making? Because I think a lot of people come in, they're like, oh, I need to do marketing, I need to set up systems, I need to do this or that. Those are great, but I think that the most important thing is like, will people even buy your stuff? Do you build something that matters? And in that level up call a couple weeks ago, I just said, just get rid of the business porn. Business porn is like feeling like you need to create a sexy website first, or that you feel like you need to invest in business cards first. Like nobody cares. Like just ask somebody, will you buy this? Not would you buy it? It's just, can you buy it? Will you buy it? Like, do people care about that first? After that, like, so many problems and so many obstacles can be solved by money revenue coming in to pay for it, and coming in later. And I go back to Airbnb. I don't know if you've seen the case study of Airbnb, but have you seen their website when they first opened, when they first launched?
I've heard this example
Yeah.
of like where it was and where it is now, but yeah, please talk us through
I'll
that.
send it to you. But if you use the Wayback Machine and see what their website looked like, it was so bad. It was just like it was worse than like Craigslist looking, and you couldn't even accept payments online. You just had to pay like the host directly, and the host they just had to trust that the host would pay like the founders of Airbnb.
Wow.
Like they didn't even do like payment processing should be like the most fundamental thing, right?
Yeah.
But that
How to
was
make money.
yeah, well, that was before Zyro, right?
Right.
But yeah, it's just proof to show that you just gotta like launch it out there, and don't care about any of the other specifics, except do people care what you have to build? That's it. Like,
So product market fit is what you're saying should be the first thing you look for?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. You have to
and
have a market before you market to that.
yeah, yeah. And I think, traditional school and college has really made it so much more complicated than it should be. I think at the end of the day, like, you just need to build something that matters and then just sell it. Ask for the payment, and that's it. Yeah, I'd say just get rid of the business porn and stop getting in your way.
Yeah, I'm directly from the marketing field. I run an agency here, and some of the most basic pages convert the highest. I
Yeah,
mean, it's really just the simplicity of it. You put too many colors, you put too much sensory fatigue on somebody, and it's not going to go anywhere. So that's where, I mean, a lot of these, I mean, you just put it out there and it'll probably end up converting the same, if not better than, if you had some $10,000 website that you just put out there and you don't even have a couple customers in the front door.
oh my gosh, yeah, you'll be so discouraged, right, from all the
Yeah.
money you spend, and you're just like, I don't. Yeah, we tend to overcomplicate things. So I'm
Hmm.
glad that you have an agency to help people like that, cut that shit. So
Yeah.
My favorite quotes by Einstein is anything truly genius is truly simple.
Well, I'd like to venture into more of the expanding. I know that you've, really capitalized on the restaurant industry and you're in the food market for yourself. What did it take going from 1 to 10? I know there are probably countless obstacles in there, but I'd love to hear a couple large ones that you ran into in that process that you overcame. And many of the times it's fairly simple, I'm sure. Something that, if you just plugged the hole at the beginning, it would have been a lot less problems down the road.
yeah,
If you could, fill those holes in for us, somebody looking to scale, because generally, you know, getting from 1 to 3 is harder than getting to the rest of them. That's kind of the staple. Is that true? And then your journey through that.
a couple of thoughts that come to mind include you need to build the team. I can't stress that enough. And when actually, so the halal guys was actually a client of mine when they were just the tiny 5 food carts, and they hired my company to help turn them into an actual brick and mortar store. And so when I realized that, like, dude, I don't want to be just a consultant for them. I actually want to like be a franchisee for the brand. I look around and I'm just like, there's nobody doing Middle Eastern Mediterranean food on a market leader's standpoint. And so what I did was I knew that I still wanted to sell and consult for my company. And I knew that I didn't want to be in the store because I knew that there were more qualified people to run the stores for me. And so I had to build a team. I had to, number one, stop feeling greedy. Like, would I rather have 100% of the one store's profits, or would I like to have like 20% of like 20 stores
Mm.
then, and have less headaches?
Yeah.
And so I built a team with a group of guys, which to this day, 5 years later, I still love them, which I'm super shocked because most partnerships like are they end up in shambles. Just and so I love the team that I built. I've actually they're not even my friends. They were built by design. One guy was amazing at marketing. One guy was he owns a mortgage company and he was our CFO. Another guy was our investor relations guy, and so on and so forth. So everybody had their defined role. So it was engineered by design. Like I didn't want to get into like this thing where I'm just hiring my friends and family, and or just it just had to be done right from the start. Especially since I've been consulting for 10 years, like I better do it right, or else like I better practice what I preach. So number one, I had to build the team and eliminate the greed and eliminate the ego as well, because I knew that there were guys who knew much better than me, and much more than me, and I knew I could go much further if I teamed up with people that were smarter than I.
What
So
are
that,
what are some best practices before we move on to the second step? Because recruiting is something that's always fascinated me, being from a network marketing background.
for
What are
sure.
some of your best practices when it comes to recruiting and enrolling people in your vision, if you will? Because there's endless amounts of opportunity out there. What is Paul Tran's secret sauce to get someone to say, "I need to work with you on what you're working on. Screw everything else." Especially highly successful people that already seem like they have their own thing going.
Yeah, I think that number one, they have to have had some kind of success in their life, because most of the time, just like network marketing as well, like perfect example, like most of the times, the if they haven't had any type of success, they or is it never team up with people or never accept opinions from people making less money than you. They tend to be very opinionated, so they need to have some kind of level of success in their world because they know what it takes to be successful. They know how much hard work they have to put into it. So all of my partners are very successful guys in their own right. The second one is just the also for me, I felt like it was good for all of us to have the abundance mentality too. Like, hey guys, like if we do this, like I don't want any of us to feel like we need to take shortcuts or be cheap about the investments we make just so that you can live paycheck to paycheck here. Like all of my guys are they're making money through other means, and so this whatever money this makes, we need to be focused on reinvesting, and that's what made the rest of the 10 stores possible. Like we were able to fund growth, and fund like the right team members to grow our stores and just delay gratification. I think delaying gratification is one of the most important things to getting
Patience. Yeah.
it's just now, and they're gonna have nothing for later. Um, so, what's that quote? I'll get back to it. Anyways, um, but it's more like just put in the work now.
Do today what others won't, so you can have tomorrow what others can't. Something like
There you go. Thank you, man. Thank you. You complete my sentences. This is very romantic. Thank you. Um,
that.
uh, yeah, so that's one thing. Another thing is being able to communicate the vision. So my other four partners were actually recruited by my one partner. I pretty much approached him. His name is Thomas, and I just said, "Hey, I want to grow the Halal Guys, and I want it to be like an incredibly successful organization here. Who do you know that would be able to like help us scale? Who's focused on hiring the right people who think like we do, who aren't interested in getting the paycheck right now. We're focused on growth and the end game. Like who else do you know?" And so he asked like the moment I was able to communicate clearly the type of people we needed on our team, uh, uh, his brain start. I was really specific about it as well. His brain started churning, and within like a day, we were able to meet with all the partners that I have and enjoy working with today. So it's about communication of needs. It's not about like in the beginning, like everybody is so excited and they go through the honeymoon phase and they're just like, that's a small problem, but it's okay. I'm so excited about this opportunity. But no, it was more like this is what we need. Like who do you know? It's no different than sales. I think.
You were very structured from the beginning. It sounds like, and also it's easier, a lot easier to hit a target if you know what it looks like. So,
Yeah, yeah,
great point.
exactly.
So those are some great tips on recruiting. So yeah, beyond the building a team, what were some of the additional aspects when it came to
Yeah,
scaling?
I think that we also needed to, if we wanted to scale, we knew that we didn't have all the capital available to us. So again, going back to like, let's not be greedy. Let's actually try to recruit investors that believe in what we believe in. And also, we clearly communicated that this is a passive investment. You are not allowed to get involved. You need to invest and get out of our way so that we can be the best stewards of your money. And so we raised 5 million to build the stores that we built. So we needed to properly have enough capital to invest in the 10 stores that we got to.
What were some of the investment sources? These weren't, this
Uh,
wasn't venture capital, was it? This was more.
no, no, a lot of it's just friends and family and just referrals. And thank God, like we're so blessed that some of our guys just fully funded their stores themselves, and they funded multiple stores as well. Out of all of our stores, we have about 30 investors, and
Very cool.
we're so blessed because all of them leave us alone, and they let us do our thing. We love working with our investors, so I think it goes back to being able to communicate that right on the bat. We also raised money to where we gave each investor like a preferred payment, meaning like we would help. We would like, for example, we would get 60%, they would get 40, but we put in an acceleration clause where we just said, you're going to get 80% of the profits until you make your money back. After that, we flip back over and we get the 60/40. So that gave us motivation to like return investor capital as soon as possible. So we're just trying to meet their needs first and protect their capital first before we got our paycheck, before we got paid. So
Yeah. That's
yeah,
great. I mean,
again,
too many are looking for instant gratification and just pulling all the money out of it, or in today's world, flaunting it and doing all kinds of stuff like that. But yeah, that really worked in your favor.
yeah.
sitting back and waiting, letting it brew.
I think it's because we already, again, it goes back to like we already agreed that we're successful elsewhere.
Yeah.
We just need to reinvest. Are you okay with reinvesting? Are you okay if we don't get paid for like 5 years? Are you okay with like the long game? Are you okay with like investing in Amazon, not getting a dividend and enjoying what you enjoy now? Is pretty much the conversations we had. So yeah, I'm glad you said it that way. Agreed.
Um, how did all this transition into the virtual assistant business? So, I mean, coming from restaurant, is that something that you used, or how did that transition?
Yeah.
That's a quite
What I
different.
learned is that how I end up getting into all these businesses is uh, they're always
ADHD.
unplanned, and there's always just it's just ADHD, and it's also just always vertically integrating, right? It's
Yeah.
everything that I do kind of is like part of this its own ecosystem. Like my VSAs help make me a better consultant and help run our restaurants more profitably. So they're all related in some way, some fashion. But as far as the VSAs are concerned, my good friend Dean Soto, I met him about 10 years ago, and he was starting this company called Pro Sulum, which he was helping a bunch of real estate firms and accounting firms and tech and retail firms use VSAs to scale and automate their business. And one day about 6 years ago, I was just hanging out with him. No, sorry, maybe 7 years ago. I was just hanging out with him, and he never knew anything about the restaurant business, and he's just like, "So restaurants must be really sexy, right? Like, how much do you guys make? What's your business model?" I'm like, "Restaurants are usually about 10 to 15% profits." He's like, "What the hell? Like, that's like the worst business to get into on paper, right? Like real estate, you can get like 80% margins, and some of them are like like retail, you like mark up 300%. Like you only get 15% if you're. I'm like, yeah, on a good day. And so he said that you need to get a VSA. So how he sold me was just, you need to get a VSA. This is what a VSA will do. And so I ended up using one, and I was able to use that to automate payroll, automate customer service. I have VSAs responding to all of our social media stuff, including Yelp comments. We also have VSAs using lead generating for catering, our catering business as well. Um, During that time, I was also still selling restaurant franchises for Freshie, which is a small mom and pop chain in Toronto. And I actually like, can my VSA like sell restaurant franchises too? They're like, you should give it a try. And so I was able to engineer my VSA to reach out to other restaurant owners that might be interested in expanding it into other franchises. And so I was able to sell a couple hundred franchises for them, and through my VSA's efforts, and
I am so excited. We signed up really good.
Oh, so the quality of the lead generation is just how well you engineer it. So yeah, thank God, like that company that I sold franchises for, they went from 9 stores to like they're now like about 400 stores, and they've gone public on the stock exchange. And
Wow.
I'd like to stem it. I'd like to root it because the VSA was able to just generate leads all day and do answer sales questions and do a lot of the actual redundant administrative boring work that I hate. And the only time I step in is just like to say hey and take credit for it, and that's pretty much it. That happened for the halal guys as well and a couple other brands too. But yeah, I mean that. So after a while, I just told Dean like, "Hey, I've been recommending these VSAs to everyone. I'm just like, hey, can I just be a joint venture partner and help you like deploy more VSAs into other organizations?" And he's this quiet Wizard of Oz, like socially awkward guy. Sorry, Dean. That he's just like, I hate sales. Can you just handle it for me? I'll just handle all the back end. And so that's what pretty much happened. So I've been helping him with just to become more VSA. So that's how you and I we all got to work together. So
Good dynamic. Yeah, just plug the holes, you stick with your 5%, and find partners that complement you. That's
This is why
perfect.
Dustin and I work so well together, because he's actually smart. I'm just loud and obnoxious. So, well.
okay,
You are
so
that.
you guys both carry yourselves so well. Like, so yeah, what is the dynamic here besides? I know you're joking about being loud and obnoxious. First, like, how does the strategic complement happen? Because I think you guys are pretty awesome like together.
I appreciate
I'm,
that, but I pretty much told you what it is.
it's a good compliment. I drive into a lot of more technical aspects of things. So where his eyes glaze over, mine just kind of fine tune. They kind of zoom in. So that's where we complement each other on a lot of things. But yeah.
Yeah, like perfect example here. He brings up like concerns about what was it?
Oh, the
The
VPN.
VPNs and different access points, and I don't think of this shit, bro. Like I dropped out of school, like so it works out very well. It works out very well.
But
But maybe can you speak to that? Like what to look for in a partner? I mean, how do you go about attracting the people into your life that complement you perfectly? Because it seems like you've done a great job of doing
it's
that.
more like you only know about the social media version of my partners. I've been divorced, by the way, and I also have had bad partnerships as well. So I think that I think that a lot of times it's more like you just need to have the difficult conversation and be willing to walk away, like if it's just not working out, and if like we are both strong in one suit and there's a lot of like holes that we can't plug, as you mentioned, Dustin, that we need to have the strength to walk away or to find a way to plug those holes without like resenting each other or losing so much money just to fill those holes. I'm still really trying to figure out like how to find good partners because I feel like I've been pretty blessed. A lot of people say, oh, like, you've chosen good partners and you've had a good string of success. I have to tell you, I'm still not entirely sure how I'm doing it. I think a lot of it comes intuitively, right? You don't know how you're doing it, you're just doing it. But I think it just goes down to communication and being able to let the impulse pass, like sleep on the partnership. My wife teaches me to sleep on my impulses because I get excited about so many things. And 2 days later, I'm just like, I'm so glad I slept on that. I'm so glad I didn't pull the trigger. So I think it's more like letting the impulse pass and being really clear about like what you need instead of just trying
Now,
to
has that
push it.
also gone the other way where you slept on it and decided, incorrect it, came back and kicked you in the butt?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had some failed businesses. I've had some.
But yes, let's talk about the failures now.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, so I have had to close 3 restaurants actually, and um, if it's okay with you, I'd like to keep it confidential to save some reputations. But I'll tell you the learnings if that's okay.
Yes.
Uh, the learnings are, I think that it just goes down to just being too arrogant. And I love sales. Like as you know, I think one of the biggest problems about salespeople, really good salespeople, is that you're really good at selling yourself on shit too. And so
Peel it back.
I let my ego get in the way of a couple of things. So, for example, one of the stores that I did close down is the Halal Guys. We did close one store down, and it was because I think we were experiencing so much success that I ended up choosing a site that I threw away all my typical due diligence stuff. I knew that I just knew we were gonna kill it, and that we took a site that was sexy, but it was way too expensive, and it was in LA, and the minimum wage was not working, and there was and the landlord was really difficult and just all sorts of stuff. And so um, normally my triggers would have just said, no, don't do it. But I think we were just like, dude, we're the halal guys. Like, no, we can't fail. Too hot to fail. And so when COVID hit, COVID didn't cause problems; it just revealed them. And so when COVID hit, all of our business that was there uh, were the partiers, and another thing is we just depended on one day part. We depended on the nighttime because it was in West Hollywood, and that was where all like the gay party goers go, and that's what almost 80% of our business. But when COVID hit, no one could party and go clubbing or anything. Like our business died, and we're stuck with like crazy like $21,000 a month rent, and with minimum wage rates that were just killing us. And so if
And
we
no
had
kiosk.
what's that?
And no kiosk.
No, where were you? Where were you, dude? But yeah, I mean that. I think I threw all of my playbooks out the door because of arrogance. I think it's the main problem. So
Let's talk about that because you are a multi-location restaurant owner who has had to weather this COVID storm we've had now for the greater part of the year. What are some of the adjustments you've made, and how have you stayed agile to stay ahead of the times and persevere?
yeah, one thing was having a conversation with Zyril. Hopefully, I don't. I guess I recommended Zyril to the owners of the Halal Guys. Hopefully, it works out. But as far as things that
Thank
we,
you, Matt.
oh, I hope so, man. You guys are awesome. But I think that right now what we did was, yeah, we really had to focus on just a lot of delivery. We just had to focus on catering as well. And so, blessed the silver lining in COVID is that because we couldn't have dine-in for quite a long time, um, and we had to let some workers go, unfortunately. Even though our sales are not at 100% of what it used to be, um, the beauty is because we didn't have to do dine in and because we did more delivery, which is much better margins, actually, we're more profitable. So
Really?
our labor actually almost got cut in almost half. So we're actually making more money during this time for all the rest of the stores. So we're pretty blessed. Um, yeah, and catering is always like the most profitable part of our business, and so we've been increasing that too. And a lot of it's more like using our VSAs to just constantly communicate with our community and our delivery drivers, and just remind people, thank you so much for keeping us afloat. And it's just like just keeping us at top of mind, just reminding people that hey, we're still an option for lunch, we're still an option for dinner, catering, and just
Damn good option, because what I love about halal guys, sorry, Michael, my little halal guys commercial here. We may or may not be fishing for a brand deal, but I love that you guys offer a spicy sauce that is actually spicy. Thank you.
oh yes. Yes,
It's
yes.
so hard to find a good spicy
I'm gonna
sauce.
have to come down there, or we're gonna have to like speed overnight it over here.
Wait, Dustin, whereabouts are you located?
I'm in Boise, Idaho.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was going to be their next opening, right?
Yeah.
I was about to say, I thought you were in San Fran or something. Like, oh, my one of my our friends own the Halal Guys up there as well. I was gonna shoot some over to you, but Boise, Idaho is kind of different.
I
I
live in
know.
San Francisco. I'll take you up on that. I just ordered from you guys a couple days ago.
You
Oh
just
no,
enjoy
no,
it
sure,
for me.
please, yes, I will absolutely do that, dude, for sure, man, for sure.
Coffee gets cooler every time I talk to him, man. It's like I'm bored right now. It's like you're talking about automation and food, my two favorite things. So which direction do I take this conversation in, man?
Oh,
Golly. Well,
no, I
let's
got
talk
you.
about expansion. Let's kind of merge the two. I mean, I'm sure you have expansion plans for the halal guys and your other restaurant concepts. You have your hands in other concepts too, correct?
Yeah, Halal Guys is the only active operation. The rest of them are startups that I've invested in passively. So,
Perfect.
yeah.
And I know Pro Sulum is I mean on a tear right now. I mean every conversation I've had lately has been about automation, thanks to you.
Mm.
So like what is the future of both companies? How do they overlap? Like what's coming on the horizon for Paul Tran? To talk to us about the future, man.
Yeah. Gosh, I think I like to, you're Christian, right? So for me, I'm just like, just do the work and leave the outcome to God. And so that's why I challenge people who to say that you need to have a 5-year plan, 10-year plan. I still think we need to plan to have a pretty good idea of where we want to go, but leave a huge margin open for a better plan. I think most of the things, the most amazing things that have ever happened in my life have always been unplanned. Like Halal Guys came out of nowhere, Pro Sulum came out of nowhere, like it just happened. And so I love being able to create enough margin in my life, enough bandwidth to just receive a much better plan. Because as you know, you and I like to believe that we're all limited. We're still learning. We don't know it all, and I'd rather let the universe also give some feedback and input as well. So that's the plan.
Now.
Yeah. Well, I think for the halal guys, I mean, if someone slapped 20 million or 30 million to buy our chain of stores, which are quite profitable, like I wouldn't turn it down. But we do have a contract to build 5 more stores in the next 2 years.
Nice.
So we can. I love the abundance mentality because that doesn't pressure us to go one way or another. If we build 5 more stores, or if we build 10 more stores that are profitable, then good for us. And if a private equity firm comes to us and wants to buy us out, like that's awesome too. And we're also well diversified into other businesses, and so I love the fact that we're not pressured at all. And as far as Pro Sulum's concerned, yeah, we're getting a lot of business right now through this, and COVID has made people realize how much they need to automate and scale and all that. So I've actually in a partnership with WeWork right now to we're discussing with a couple of organizations like WeWork, where we do a lot of business classes and teaching small businesses how to scale and how to automate things so that they can focus on what they should be doing, the work that only they are most uniquely qualified to work. Like the rest needs to go. It's got to go. So uh, I'm having a lot of fun training and teaching and shifting mindsets and getting people out of their own ways. So it's
Was
been
that
fun.
kind of how the honey badger seller came to be?
What I was thinking.
Yeah. Uh, Honey Badger Cellar is actually a passion project of mine. What I've learned is that, you know, uh, you have my email, so you saw my mission. You know, about 20 years of business. I've learned from like the Gary V's and the Grant Cardones and all the high energy people that teach you how to sell. And what I've learned is that every time I learn that, I'm just like, I don't have that high energy, extroverted energy. I need to always modify these learnings for introverts. And so I pretty much have felt like for 20 years, like there's just not been a resource for introverts to sell or to feel like validated, or they feel like introverts aren't really good salespeople, which I beg to differ. And so I just wanted to write a newsletter because I love writing and I love selling. And I realize a lot of people always are asking for advice on how to sell something, especially the socially awkward, the entrepreneurs that don't like selling, or just people who just don't have the sales skills, or they don't feel like, you know, yeah, Grant Cardone's a good sales guy, but I'm not like Grant Cardone.
Yeah.
I'm quiet. I like dealing with one on one. Like, how do I get around that? So this newsletter is meant for that. It's a free newsletter just to share tips. What's cool is that I'm starting to get some interest in like sales consulting and coaching. And someone also looked at the Honey Badger logo and they're like, dude, you better put that on a shirt and sell it. I'm like, okay, like,
Got some apparel.
yeah,
Yeah,
so many
yeah.
cool things are coming out of it, but
Yeah.
that is truly a passion project that I care deeply about. Whether or not it becomes big or I get paid or whatever, I just feel like I'm serving the introverted salesperson that I wish had this resource like 10, 20 years ago.
That's a message that needs to be shared because
Yeah.
I've heard it too, especially, I am more loud and out there, but some of the most effective salespeople I've ever seen are the quiet, reserved kind. What I heard someone explain it as in the past was a big part of sales is being able to relate to the person you're sitting across from, right?
Sure.
And there are more introverted people than extroverted people. So as an
Yeah.
introvert, you're actually more relatable to a larger piece of the audience because you're just as shy as everybody else is.
Yeah.
So you can remind yourself of that, then you can use that as a benefit as opposed to a hindrance. So appreciate you for doing that, man.
Oh, that's great. That's a great insight. That's a great way to communicate that. I didn't think about it that way, but yeah, I love that. Hopefully, I'm doing that. Hopefully I'm doing that justice.
For sure,
Oh, yeah.
brother.
I'm introverted when I'm at home. If I'm in a crowd, a business event, or just speaking to other, fellow entrepreneurs, I'm fairly extroverted.
Mhm.
And that's just something that I learned along the way.
Are you
forced
pretty,
forced extrovert.
no, are you pretty even, or are you like an introvert and you have to be an extrovert and it wears you out at the end of the day?
Well, when I was doing PT, every 30 minutes for a 14, 15-hour day would be with somebody new. I'd be matching so many, I mean, I would either be training them or selling them. And it would be so many different variations from special populations, elderly to young teen to girls to just extroverted guys. And so, yeah, that was very, very exhausting, is matching like a chameleon to all these different personalities throughout the day. So that's definitely exhausting. I think that would be to anybody, even extroverted. But my wife, she's like, talk whenever we're at home, and then she's like, shut up whenever we're out with people. It's just, it's funny.
Keep grilling him, Paul. I feel like I'm getting a live consulting session here. This is how Paul actually works with his clients. He'll diagnose. Here you see a wild sales master.
I didn't trap you, okay? Don't listen to you.
You're good.
Paul, I'm so happy, dude, that I met you. Like, I literally only met you like a couple months ago. Shout out to Billy from Go Fresh because he connects everybody to everybody.
That guy is not an introvert by any stretch of the imagination. But I love his energy though, man. He's the extrovert for me. He's the extrovert for me.
You're watching him just be. I'm like, dude, how do you maintain that level? By the way, if you are curious as to who Billy Anderson is, episode 1 of the podcast.
I listened to that episode. He's the most disciplined guy like that I've ever met. Like he's talking about his story in your interview where he's just like, well, he had his parents got him into healthy eating. He already knew like the moment like he ate junk food, he had to recalibrate right away. He knew he was really aware of his body that he needed to like sleep and eat a certain way. He's not one of us. He's not of this world, man.
Contrast that with me growing up on TV dinners and frozen chimichangas. Like that's why he has so much energy, because you feed his body good stuff.
Yeah, I was really pissed off. I was eating my Jimmy Dean and I had to put it down. I was like, screw this. As I was listening to him, dude.
There's a great question for you, Paul. What do your daily routines look like as a man who's so systematized and automated and got everything well engineered? What does a day-to-day look like for Paul Tran?
Yeah, it's actually not as systemized as you think. It's
duality. Love it.
Well, okay, I lied. Actually, I do have a routine that I've honored for like 5-10 years now. One of them is I wake up every morning. I do turn on my Bible app, and do devotional. And I also do gratitude journal. For about 8 years now, I've written 3 things I'm grateful for every day.
That was my one post today. I was trying to get a tally
Really?
on all the people close to me. I was like, do you use a gratitude journal? It's a game changer. I mean, you don't
Sure.
start reactive. You start in a space of gratitude, especially with a devotional. You start with God. You start with gratitude. It's amazing.
Can I call you out? Can I ask? I'll share mine too. But what are you grateful for today? What did you write?
I woke up with a crying baby that I had put back to sleep. I got a 2-month-old. She turned 2 on the 31st this last month, or 2 months. And so just that just had a flood of gratitude there. My wife, who was really tired because she stayed up a little bit late last night, but just she's a superstar. She's a superstar at home. She takes care of everything that needs to get done with the kids so that I can focus on other things for our family. But my baby girl, she is my number one gratitude right now, and just the people that are around me to help my wife
freaking adorable, dude.
weather it. Yeah,
I got to see it. I got to see the baby.
she's so cute. Yeah, I'll send. I can step out real quick and have a spotlight guest, little baby here real quick if you guys want.
I'm surprised it took this long.
I want my episode to be the premiere of your baby. Dude.
Okay.
I need.
All right.
Speaking of ego, I need that for my ego.
There you go.
All right, I'll be back. You guys don't get into too much trouble.
Okay.
Can't make any promises. I'm with someone who got kicked out of Disneyland, so we know how.
Oh my God.
You're never gonna live that down.
Total side note. Do you know the Jolly Roger cookbook, or is this like for old people only?
Jolly Roger cookbook. I'm 32 now, bro, so I'm getting up there.
You're a kid, man. So look up Jolly Roger cookbook.
Okay.
It was like a list of all the things that all the things you could do to like create arts, just commit crime, like little petty crimes. So
okay.
At Disneyland, what this thing taught me was how to rob a change machine. What you do is you just tie a piece of tape to $1, you put it in, and the moment the dollar dispenses 4 quarters, you pull the dollar back out, and you just do it over and over again. I was so stupid, man. I just did it at the arcade where like security guy just caught me, and that's how I had a rap sheet on.
Please tell me you did not get a lifetime ban from Disneyland, because that would hurt my heart.
No, I came back plenty of times, but this time above board and bought. I paid for everything. I promise. So anyway,
That is
dedication to excellence right there, dude.
dedication to a life of crime.
Yeah.
Paul Tran. Well, I'm
Oh,
glad it cut off there and you didn't escalate to bigger white collar crimes. You know,
yes. I mean, no.
you're like, no, I did. Who's asking?
Is that the baby?
All right.
Yes.
Here's our special guest.
Oh, cutie.
Oh,
Baby.
hi. See, she's Baby Yoda too.
Oh, oh, baby's got a Yoda one too. A Yoda shirt. As
Yeah.
well.
She actually has a little hat. My wife got into crocheting and made her a Baby Yoda hat.
Dude.
And so we all had to match.
Oh, she's asking a question. Is that a question she's asking?
Is that a question? No. All right. So with our special guest here, she's gonna ask the final question real fast. So, being the Dedication to Excellence podcast, we do like to end on a note with our name in mind. You know, what does it mean to you to be dedicated to excellence, or to live a life in dedication to excellence?
Oof. I heard the first episode with Billy Anderson. I knew you guys were going to ask this, and I was just like trying to brainstorm what to say. I think dedicated excellence is. I talked a few times about ego. I believe that. I think that. I think that eliminating ego from everything you do allows you to take the ceiling off of the potential and the quality of everything that you do. Like I believe that whatever you do, don't worry about it being meaningful or not. Don't worry about it whether people are noticing you doing it or not. Just do it to the best of your ability, and just I'm all going back to the biblical thing. It's just doing it like you're doing it for the Lord, and when He's your real employer, like not the employer, not the worldly employer, you'll end up wanting to do a better job, and you'll never know what kind of opportunities get rewarded. And I also believe that whatever work you do, it doesn't automatically, like, because you're doing this work doesn't automatically mean you'll get rewarded because of that work. You just get rewarded in some unplanned, unexpected ways, and that's the way it works. You just got to leave the outcome to the universe and to the Lord, and to whatever He decides to plan for you. Your only job is to do your absolute best work, regardless of whether anyone notices and regardless of whether you think it's meaningful or not. So it's always being at 100% no matter what you do. Even if it's like washing the dishes or cleaning up your baby's poop or going out, just anything. Just
like
do it
Andy
100%.
Frisella says, cleaning up the pee off the toilet
Yeah.
seat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, you've said some amazing things today. You got she's getting a little fussy here. You've got, leave your ego at the door, finding your partners, just compliment yourself. You've set up some amazing things today, Paul. Thank you so much for coming on here and sharing some great nuggets. The real actionable ones, especially in your business and mindset wise, just little triggers and little small subtle things like gratitude journals that you can do in the morning, and devotionals, and just leaving it with God. Just don't trust in your own, trust in the Lord, and anything is possible. And that was wonderful. Thank you.
Oh,
let go and let God.
Yep.
That's the best way. That's the best operating system for me at what I've learned. Well,
Agreed.
thank you guys, and thank you for giving me a chance to get to know you guys better. And I'm so honored to be on this podcast because Billy Anderson is a hard act to follow. I think your other guests, I haven't listened to other ones yet. It's going to be in play, but these guys are hard acts to follow. So hopefully I can make you guys proud, and hopefully I can add value to your audience. But just thank you for making time for me.
Of course, brother. Well, you've definitely, again, raised the bar as we look to do every episode. So before we let you go, Paul, where can people find you? How can they follow your work? How can they show Paul Tran some love?
I'd say two things. The first one is just Instagram is where I'm most active. So it's at Paul T Tran. And yeah, I'd love to have you guys as a subscriber for Honey Badger Seller. Hopefully, you guys get a lot of good wisdom out of it. It's free. So honeybadgerseller.com. And yeah, look forward to meet anybody and help anybody I can.
Love it. Well, Paul Tran, on behalf of Dustin Reyna and myself and the Dedication to Excellence fans and followers, which there will be millions of, we're working on it. Again, thank you so much, brother, for being on the show. You delivered some heat today. Can't wait for this to be released. And I look forward to continuing on this journey with you and using these VSAs to dominate the same way that you have. So thank you so much, brother. Again, stay blessed. And everybody, thank you so much. If you like what you hear, please leave a review, subscribe, tell a friend about it. That's the way we are going to grow organically. We love you all. Stay blessed. Peace.
Thank you, guys.